Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Intuitive Life Coach. This is your host, Angie. I hope you guys are all doing really well. Christmas is like 2 days away, 3 days away, I think. I'm losing track of time, y'all. Like, this year has flown by, and I'm not going to lie. I ordered Christmas presents on Amazon 2 days ago, hoping they'll be here in time. Thankfully, at 9 p.m. last night, I got a notice that they had been delivered to my porch. And so miracles do happen. Now I have to figure out how to wrap them. And today, where I live, it is freezing. It feels like negative almost 30. There's snow on the ground, and there is no way I want to go outside. I also am going to say a side note that I should have went and bought toilet paper prior to this storm because I have one roll. And I'm sure I'll be fine, but like this panic came over me as I noticed that, and I had these flashbacks to 2 years ago. Was that 2 years ago when COVID hit and we couldn't find toilet paper anywhere? You guys remember that? Like, that was crazy. Who would have ever thought toilet paper would be such a big deal? And now it's like these things that we take it for granted. And honestly, we've just moved on. Like, we just forgot about it. It's like done and over. And now we just buy toilet paper. So it's those little moments that pop back up and you're like, oh gosh, that's right. I could not buy toilet paper 2 years ago. And I remember like people were, at least in my neighborhood, like I remember people had went and got like toilet paper. They'd found it and they were delivering toilet paper to people and like walking around the neighborhood like, here's some toilet paper. I know that you probably don't have any. Like, you guys, seriously, we have so much to be grateful for and we don't even think about it. So if you're in a place this year where you're struggling with anything and you have something to use in the restroom, such as toilet paper, I want you to take a moment and be grateful, because there really are people that probably don't have access to that. Like, we just to take advantage for it. So how times change, right? Anyway, so before I get started, I want to just share a little bit about what's going on with my coaching program. As the new year comes, I have been working diligently on a meditation challenge for the New Year's. This has taken a lot of work, but I have created a 15-day meditation challenge to start the new year. So from the 1st into the 15th, only 15 days, you guys. You're going to see other meditation challenges that are like 20 days, 21 days, 30 days. I just want to start simple. I just want you to take the time to spend time with yourself every day. Every single day is going to have a different topic. And the topic is going to help set you up for the new year. And the hope is that you continue to practice what you learned in this course as your life moves on, and you continue to work towards aligning with your higher self, connecting with your intuition, and releasing the blocks in your life that are keeping you from the life you really truly desire. So each day you will have a theme. You will also have a journal prompt if you're into journaling. If you're not into journaling, then find another way to do this kind of check-in. I think it's an important part of the process. And then I also have recorded a personal, by myself, meditation for every single day. Brand new meditations that I have never done before. Those who that have been in my courses before or follow me on Insight Timer, none of these meditations can be found anywhere else. And I will say that I have so when I record a meditation, I allow myself to be in the meditation as if, I'm listening to somebody else. And I will tell you, some of these meditations have been helped me, even though I'm recording them. So if you desire to start the new year off in a way that sets yourself up for connecting with your intuition, kind of growing in your spiritual growth, maybe setting goals, maybe manifesting things into your life, I really encourage you to do this. And I have kept the price very low compared to the work I have put in. And so I'm offering the course at only $65, you guys. And I'm offering to do a split payment where you pay $32.50 one week and then the rest the next week. So you guys, this is I'm not doing the math right, but you know what I mean. Anyways, this is an opportunity for you to dive in, to have guidance in the beginning of the year to set it up to be successful. In this, as I go through the year, there'll be more opportunities to do things like this, and I will be creating more courses, but I really encourage you to at least try to make meditation as part of your 2013, because it really will help. That is one thing I can guarantee for anybody, is if you start a meditation practice, even if you think you can't meditate, the more you practice, the easier it gets. It will change your life. 100% not lying at all about that. It will change your life. So that is my little side note before I really dive into the topics for today, which has been on my mind for a while. And I had this intuitive hit, I believe it's last week. And I've been having, I've noticed speaking of meditation, I have been meditating for, oh goodness, almost 3 years now. And I have, I have an app that keeps track of how many, when I meditate, and I have meditated every single day for, I believe I got a notice, I think this morning or yesterday, that it was 300 and maybe 30 days so far. So I saw that. I'm like, shoot, I'm just going to go for a whole year. I started that goal of meditating every day back in, I believe, March. And my first goal was to do it for 90 days. And after 90 days, I'm like, why am I going to quit? Then I hit 100. Then I hit 150. Then I hit 200. Then I hit so it's just part of my daily life now. And if I don't do it, I notice it. I can tell a difference in how I feel when I don't meditate. And so that's really why I really am passionate about teaching it, because it is also how I connect deeper with my intuition and hear from my guides, which is how I give you messages. So all that being said, and I think I shared this in maybe an episode prior, but ever since I kind of switched up my meditation a little bit a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, I had noticed I kind of got in a rut, where it was just becoming, that thing you do every day. And I was feeling very blocked in my life. I was feeling like my intuition was being shut down. I couldn't hear from my guides. I was feeling kind of lost in what to do with my business. Things just didn't feel aligned. And so I remember thinking, gosh, I teach all this stuff about mindset, and I teach all this stuff about connecting with your higher self and grounding and kind of breaking out of these blocks and the leaf lesson and all this. Why am I not using my own advice? So I changed it up, and I didn't stop meditating. I just started meditating more intentionally and stopped viewing it as a daily chore and more of a something that I was honored to do. And when I noticed I switched my mind about what I was doing is when my intuition skyrocketed. It was an insane shift in my spirit. And ever since, I have been more in tune with my guides, with my higher self and with my loved ones on the other side as well, I will say. I've also had more contact with other people's loved ones since I kind of tuned myself back into my higher self. And it's been really, really crazy during like some Reiki sessions I've been doing. I've had people like past people that lost someone, their relatives coming through and talking to me. And I've experienced that before. It's nothing new. But I think each time it happens, it surprises me a little bit more because I'm like, oh, wow, I really did hear that. But I think about the last few times. And I may have mentioned this one already, but this has been over a month or so ago. I was doing a Reiki session, and in the middle of it, I began to hear a choir singing, and I had never experienced that. I heard an actual choir, and for a second, I always play music when I'm doing Reiki just to kind of bring a calming atmosphere. And for a second, I thought maybe the choir was coming from the music. And I was like, that's weird. Like, why? So I started to tune in to the music. And I was like, is the choir coming from the music? And as I did that, I realized it wasn't. And I was like, oh my goodness, I am hearing a choir. Like, there's an actual spiritual choir singing right now. Then there were, I started to receive names into my spirit, into my intuition. And when I spoke these names out after the Reiki session, I asked my client, like, do you know anybody by this name? And they're like, oh my gosh, that was my grandpa, or that was my aunt, or that was my, they say these things. And one of my clients, she had just lost somebody probably 2 days prior to the Reiki session. And during the session, I kept hearing the name of somebody. And I didn't know who this person was. I was hearing 2 different names. And when I got done, I asked her, I'm like, do you know anybody by the name of, and the name was David. I go, do you know anybody by the name of David? And she's like, oh my gosh, that is the person that had passed. That is her husband. And so it was clear to me that this person that had passed, the spirit of the person who had passed, was communicating to me to give a message to her husband and to let him know that she is okay and that she is still with him. And also to give a couple messages about the process of what the family was going through and trying to make decisions for him, or for this woman that had passed. And it gave some ease. I was thankful that I did, and I said something, because sometimes you have these moments, if you have any kind of intuitive ability and you're just starting out, kind of like me, I've always known I had these intuitive abilities, but I've really hidden them from the world until recently because of fear. And when you begin to share this part of yourself, it is kind of scary to know, like, am I hearing right? Am I making this up? Like, why am I hearing this name? Like, what's going on? There's angels singing right now. Like, there can be all these crazy experiences. And until you just trust it, you just start to speak it out and you just trust that you're hearing right. You don't really know you are. So if you are learning to be intuitive, or you're getting in touch with this part of yourself, don't be afraid to be real about it, like, because that's how you're going to grow. And I'm not saying this is an easy process. I still struggle. But I do know that the more I do it, the easier it gets. And I'm looking forward to the day where it becomes just a natural thing for me when I hear a message that I just share it, and I'm not afraid, because almost every time this happens, I know it's for the good of the person that needs to hear it. So that is really what being in tune with the spirit is all about. So that being said, I've had so many things coming at me. It's hard to like distinguish between when and what it was. But I've been having, I had a really strong visitation from my dad last night. I lost my dad in 2020 to cancer, and he's been with me ever since. I know that for sure. But once in a while, he comes in very strongly and speaks to me. And last night was one of those times, and it was overwhelming. Like I was weeping. I was crying. I was sitting on my couch and I was watching something on TV and just started hearing these things from my dad. And I was just crying and so thankful for him coming through and talking to me. Like I feel emotional talking about it right now, but, he was just confirming to me the things I have been hearing in my spirit recently and being vulnerable enough to share what I hear because the world needs to hear it. And, it also is very confirming for me because I'm getting ready to send my second book over to editing. I'm going through, so here's some insight on writing a book, okay? When you write a book, the first time you write it is just completely rough draft. You just write and write and write and write until you don't feel like there's anything else that you need to say. The second time you go through it and you read it and you change things. The third time you go through it and you delete things and change things. So you go through this process over and over and over of reading your own book, editing it, changing it, updating it. And so I've been going through this and I'm on my third or fourth round of this before I send it over to my editor. And I have been going through it and I felt like fear coming up, I guess, in me. Because some of the things I've written in it are pretty radical to the human mind. Like these are very intuitive insights that I've gotten. And I'm like, gosh, this cannot be real. But I keep getting these deep understandings or something will pop up on like TV or YouTube or somewhere that confirms exactly what I wrote. And I'm like, okay, I was not off. This dude just said the exact same thing. They are intuitive. They know what they're talking about. So I'm just going to trust this. Or like I will get my therapist, she gave me a book to read and I'm reading through this book and I'm like, holy shit, like everything that I've written in my book is in this book. And so it's just like, we just have to trust that the universe is always going to confirm in some way that we're right or that we're hearing the right thing. And so my dad's speaking to me last night and he's confirming all these things for me about how I need to let go of the fear and step into my truth more in the coming weeks and the year ahead. And as I do that, the doors will begin to open for me and what I am meant to do on the earth. And so I'm just sobbing. I'm just crying, hearing all this. And it brought me back to the intuitive hit I got probably a week or so ago, where I was just like in bed. I was getting ready to go to sleep. And all of a sudden, I don't know how to explain what this feels like in my body, but there's like, I have a deep knowing, like my body, kind of like I actually feel like an energy shift in my body when the spirit talks to me. But this night I was laying there and I just got this sudden hit and it was almost like one of my guides came to me and explained to me that time is so different in the spirit world, which I already knew. But the way they explained to me was just so profound and deep that I had never considered it the way they said it to me. The way that this guide or these guides spoke to me, they said to me, your life is like a flash to us. You go into your human body and you come right back. It's almost as if you barely leave the spirit realm. Our life is so very quick to those in the spirit. It's as if we don't really leave that long. So we come into this world and we're born and we have our life and hopefully are able to live, long enough to see an older age. And we see it as this length of time and with these blocks and these things that we have to overcome and all this stuff. And we have these guides, whether we know it or not, we do have guides with us or past loved ones that are helping us through this journey. And each time that we get through a lesson, our spirit expands and we come more in contact with who we are really truly meant to be. And that's the whole reason that we have a lessons is to enhance our spirit. And it was just so amazing to think about if we were to take our human concept off of what time is, how quick life really truly is. And if we had that understanding like so deeply, which is what I'm working on currently, so deeply within ourselves, that we knew that holding ourselves back from doing our life purpose or what we feel deep inside ourselves to be called to do, even if it feels scary, is only preventing the expansion of other spirits and souls on the earth. Because almost everything that we're called to is to help enhance and expand the understanding of consciousness, of people coming into that part where they're deeply connected subconsciously deep inside their spirit, and they're bringing that to the conscious awareness of who they are. And there is a global awakening happening right now. And I call it the Christ conscious awakening. So basically the second coming is what is kind of happening right now. And we are waking up to our truth. There are people that are still in lower frequencies. They're not fully awake, and they're kind of feeling a little confused by those who are waking up. And I will even say that I've kind of got some intuitive hits about people that they are awake, but they're not taking the time to tune their and like allow the frequency to shift in them. They're kind of staying stagnant where they are because they want to fit in with the world, or they want to feel like they belong also. And the thing is we are meant to be living an earthly life, and we're meant to fit in the world. But we're also meant to be expanding our spirit and connecting with our intuition and growing, because in that place, we actually help other people heal and we help other people expand. And so I do know people that I know are awake because they've shared things with me, but I feel like they are stagnant because they are not taking the time to really fine tune that energy within, if that makes sense. But if we really truly understand the concept of how quick our life is and how it's just a flash, the outward world that we see as a block, or the fears or the things that we place on ourselves in our own minds, by the way, seem to be less of an obstacle, because you're able to move freely knowing that this is not really our home. This is not really our true self. Our true self is the spirit. And when we go back to that, we're going to take all these lessons, all this growth, all this understanding back into the spirit. And that is when we will decide, am I going to go back and live another human life, or am I going to stay in the spirit? So I heard two really amazing things recently. One is that, we've heard about the book of life, that we always connect this to like God or religion. And I recently heard of a near-death experience, and both of these examples are people that have died and came back into their human body. So they experienced themselves as spirit and then back into their humanness. And one of these people mentioned that when they went into the spirit, so everybody has a different experience when they go. I'm just going to say that. It's just really, really interesting. But it's not different. I mean, it's not so different. It's just like different insights. I don't know how to say it. But this particular person said she saw the book of life, and that her guide or an angel had showed it to her. And they wanted her to read the book of life. And so she saw this ginormous book. And when she looked to see what it said in it, there was only one word in the entire book. And that one word was love. How amazing is that, you guys? Like, it makes me want to cry. Like, that is the purpose of life. That is the reason for existence. That is the universe is made of that. The other person that had the near-death experience where they had died and came back, she shares about how when she did her life review, which I talk about in my book, my first book, Leaf Lessons, When Trauma and Religion Collide, the process of spiritual awakening and healing. I talk about how my dad came back to me and talked to me about the process that he was going through of judgment. And how he shared with me that it wasn't God judging him or anything outside of himself. He himself had a deep, profound awareness of how he impacted every single person in his life and how he made them feel. And not just how he made them feel, he experienced it for himself. Every feeling, everything I felt around him, or every time he made me feel something, he felt that too when he went back into the spirit. And that's why it was so deep and amazing when he came back after experiencing all this and he asked me for forgiveness, you guys. Like, that was one of the deepest things I've ever experienced in my life, where he shared with me the reason for forgiveness is to help him to release that karma in his spirit too, because he in his spirit, even though he lived his human life and he had no awareness of how I felt, he had no awareness of how he made me feel, he came into that understanding in his spirit, and he came to me and he apologized and he asked me for forgiveness, and he explained to me that the forgiveness is for the human life to let go of these things that keep us blocked or in pain in our body. But it's also for the spirit, because the spirit also wants to release this karma. Because without the release of the karma, a lot of spirits continue to repeat cycles where they come back to try to like overcome those things that they've experienced before in a human life. And so when my dad did that, he was explaining to me that he was in a place where he understood that we were so deeply energetically connected in our spirit that what I felt, he felt. And that's how it is in all of our human lives. Like, when you treat somebody like a certain way, you're not just treating them that way, you're treating yourself that way. And that's why this it's so important with like what I teach in my healing courses and in my coaching is like to really be in tune with your energy, because the energy you hold in is what you reflect out into the world. And it's also what you allow into your energy. So you allow the energy into you that you carry and you send it back out. So it's an energetic cycle. And this is kind of like what karma is. And so this woman had said that she went and she was having her life review, and she was seeing all these things and experiencing all these emotions. And then she went through the part of her review where she felt all the positive emotions, because it's not just the negative that we review in our spirit. It's also the positive. Like, she felt all the time she made somebody feel loved. She felt all the time she encouraged somebody. She felt all the time she smiled at somebody. She felt all the times that she embraced or encouraged. Like, she was just there and she showed love. And she explained that one of her guides that was with her, or one of the spirits that were with her at that time, said to her, when you come into this place, into your spirit, all of those things that you experienced that were negative as a human drop away. And everything that you experienced that was positive, that was connected to love, is carried with you in your frequency as a spirit. And that's what expands your spirit and helps it to grow. And so the negative experiences that we have, they also help our spirit to grow. But they're what the spirit desires, or what we desire to release as we move into our higher self, into the spirit. And without the release of that, we really don't come back into our true self. So in some way, this is a little off topic, but I think that's why there are some spirits that become stuck on this earthly lower, like in the lower energies. Because they're attempting to release that karma before they move forward. And it's almost like they're causing themselves to be in a hellish place, because who wants to stay in this energy? Ew. Anyways, that's a whole nother topic. But that's just food for thought. That's something you can kind of think about. But I share all this because coming back into what my guide shared with me about how quick our life really is, when we have that understanding, we really want to heal. We want to make our life have a purpose because we understand that it is so very quick and it's such a blessing to have this human life to expand that we don't want to waste it, really, if you want to say it that way. But, nothing is a waste because everything is used for our spirit's enhancement. But why not use it to build more of the energy of love, to enhance the frequency of love on the earth? Because that is what we're going to carry with us in eternity. And so the funny part was when my guide was explaining to me how quick our life is and how it's just kind of a flash. I had this picture of particularly my spirit coming into the body and then immediately leaving, according to spirit's time. Of course, here I am on earth and I'm still living in this body. But when I do go back, I imagine this is what it's going to feel like. Going back into the spirit and almost having like whiplash, because it's just like it's like in out kind of a thing. And the whiplash causes a disorientation. And if you study near-death experiences, almost every single person that passes has an experience where they first see the scene where they passed. So whatever their body appear, wherever their body is, whatever is around them, all that, they see the scene. They have a sudden awareness that they're dead, that they're not in their body. But they go through this thing like, wait, I'm not in my body, but I'm still alive. So they begin to understand their true self. Then in that process, after they come into understanding, I'm no longer my body, they move into what's called the next realm of what we would call heaven, the next phase of the spiritual realm, the next level of energy, I guess. And the next one is darkness, complete darkness. But it's not like a scary darkness. It's like a cocoon of darkness. It's like a being in the mother's wound of darkness. It's like a peaceful darkness. And in this place we're held, and that's where our guide comes to bring us into the next energy, is where we'll see whatever we manifest into our experience next. There's all kinds of stories about what you'll see next. But what my guide explained to me was, we come to you in this darkness because you need to have this time in your spirit between the realms where you readjust your frequency before you go into the higher dimensions. Because your energy has been so low within the earthly realm, within the body of the human and the energy of the earth, that when you come back out of the body in these lower dense energies, you need a moment to readjust because your spirit literally is having whiplash and trying to come back into its reality. It's almost like when you get hit in the head and you black out and then you come back and you kind of like have to shake and be like, where am I? That's kind of like what our spirit goes through. Like we come and we go. We come and we go. And so there's this place that of holding, which really has no time, that we go into for a moment prior to going into the next level of energy and frequency of heaven. And I just found this just to be so amazing when my guide shared that with me. And it makes so much sense to me that there had to be someone, or I guess you would call it a someone. There would have to be a spirit of some kind, usually a very familiar one. Either a guide or a past loved one will meet us in this place, or even a friend, somebody that you were close to on earth that has passed before you. They can be what helps you through. But they'll come and they'll kind of like help you adjust your energy, like connect with you in some way. And because there's always this realization that you were connected with the other energies. And there's not like we communicate with a voice, but in the spirit, everything's like telepathy. And so Anyways, so I was just like, that is so cool. And it brings so much perspective, at least to me, about my human life and what I'm supposed to be doing and why all the blocks that I create in my mind are kind of ridiculous. Because if I have that much energy and frequency and power within my spirit, and I'm allowing this human mind and body and ego to hold me back from my calling on the earth to expand love, then that's what needs to happen. Instead of being distracted by all of the dense lower energies that are keeping me from living my life purpose, I need to continue to work to release the fears, which is part of my life purpose as well, which is why I have amazing people in my life that continually to confront me and help me. And it's why I go to therapy, and it's why I meditate, and it's why I do these things, because I want to enhance myself through these things. And it's also very important why you surround yourself with other people that are connected with their higher self. Like I will tell you, I will never go to another therapist. Hopefully I never have to find another one because I love mine, but that is not connected to their higher self. And I will likely always have some type of people around me that are not, but allowing them to influence my energy is something I am working on not letting happen. Because if I am meant to be the energy of love on the earth, then I need to learn how to stay in that frequency at all times. And I know it's not going to be 100% possible, but that is the goal. So, holy cow, this is long. But I hope this was encouraging and helpful for you. I hope it was also insightful. And if, like I said, if you're ready to dive into some of this work, if you're ready to start doing any kind of releasing blocks, if you're ready to step into your highest self, please reach out. I would love to coach you individually, or you can join my meditation challenge, or you can watch for any courses I have released in the new year. Also, be watching for my second book. I'm so excited. It is called Composting the Ego. And I will tell you, this book is phenomenal. I cannot wait. Like, I am so excited for this book to come out. It is better than my first one, and I thought my first one was pretty good. So, anyways, I probably will not be recording again unless I get some crazy intuitive hit before Christmas. So I'm going to wish you all a beautiful, lovely Christmas. Stay in your power. Stay in love. Remember your higher self. And namaste. I will see you guys back here next time I come. Sending you all the universal love that there is.